Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Stats backup Texans CJ Stroud putting Cowboys Dak Prescott in his top 5 QBs of 2023. In this day and age of social media where everyone has a podcast or some vessel that allows them to share their opinions, you never know when something worth listening to will be said. Such is the case with the latest episode of Barstool Sports' $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, where Houston Texans QB CJ Stroud joined the show to discuss various topics. However, in the conversation, the statement that is getting the most attention appears to be the discourse between Stroud and the fellas as he gave his top 5 QBs of the NFL following the 2023 season. And yes, Dak Prescott was in there. CJ Stroud says Dak Prescott is a top 5 QB. Stroud is fresh off of one of the more impressive rookie seasons the NFL has ever seen from a QB, a true MVP candidate who looks to be changing the fortunes of the Texans in the blink of an eye. That doesn't necessarily mean his opinion is always going to be right, but when a player of this growing stature in the league speaks, it may be worthy of listening. Stroud putting Dak amongst a group that includes Stroud himself, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts. It's worth noting. Say what you want about the inclusion of Hurts here after a down year, but speaking more directly to Prescott and how he is viewed, this take has people talking. Men lie, numbers don't. Prescott has never had a losing season in a year. He was healthy and has been one of the league's most consistent QBs for the overwhelming majority of his career. In 2023, he was first in touchdown passes, third in passing yards, and third in completion percentage behind only Mason Rudolph and Jake Browning, who threw 273 fewer passes than Prescott combined. A deeper dive into Prescott's season, and the numbers become even clearer as to just how well he played in 2023. He had an 82.6 on-target throw percentage, which was tied for first in the NFL. 11.6 bad throw percentage, second, 6.0 big-time throw percentage, T first, 2.2 turnover-worthy play percentage, T second, and the second-best passer rating in the NFL with 105.9. Nobody denies that this team needs to take the next step in the playoffs, where we would all agree it ultimately matters the most for a proud franchise. However, with a clear look at measurable things, the metrics, numbers, and production tell us that Prescott is more than capable of hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. Love him or hate him, he commands respect. The discourse surrounding Dak has always run the gamut of opinion. When you're the QB of America's team, the reality is you are under an intense microscope when you wear the star. Somewhere along the line, his production became his burden, as he was no longer looked at as a fun story or an overachieving day 3 selection, but more as a disappointment that he hasn't been able to reach the ultimate goal. Prescott is a high-level QB in the NFL, and the Cowboys brass believe that. They know what they have in him is not easily replaceable, just like many around the NFL. So while fans are going to be either bought in or submissive on this analysis, the Cowboys front office and others around the league see him as a top QB as he's shown to be throughout his career. Bill Belichick gets hired by the Dallas Cowboys, leaving Mike McCarthy looking for a new job in a bold prediction. The Dallas Cowboys are heading into a big-time season, and if things don't get better in 2024, current head coach Mike McCarthy could be gone, and Bill Belichick could be coming to town. Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat. It's no secret that McCarthy is on the hot seat after winning the NFC East and losing to the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round of the playoffs last season. Many wanted McCarthy out the door this offseason, but he will get at least one more season in Dallas. There is a chance that if the Cowboys don't at least reach the conference title game or even the Super Bowl, McCarthy will be gone, and a man who knows how to win the big game could be heading to town. Bill Belichick heads to Dallas in a bold prediction. Judy Batista from the NFL Network published an article titled Bold Predictions for 2024 NFL Season, Bears, Jets, and Playoff Droughts, Chiefs three-peat. Batista had the Cowboys losing the NFC East but still making the playoffs, losing early, firing head coach Mike McCarthy, and replacing him with Bill Belichick. Here's what the NFL reporter had to say about the Cowboys heading in a different direction next season. This doesn't even really seem like that bold a prediction. The Cowboys have had a startlingly quiet offseason, while the Eagles have upgraded their roster. The Cowboys have enough talent, including Dak Prescott, to make the playoffs as a wild card, but with another early playoff exit in the offing, Jerry Jones does what many expected him to do this offseason: let Mike McCarthy go. McCarthy is coaching in the final year of his contract. contract, so that won't even be a surprise. Neither will Jones hiring Bill Belichick. It's still bizarre that Belichick doesn't have an NFL job, and it feels a little like owners overthought things a little bit. If you have a talented roster and need someone to address details and mindset, Belichick is your guy. He won't coach for long, maybe a few years, but Jones can figure out a succession plan after he finally hoists another Lombardi trophy. By the time next year rolls around, Belichick will be 73 years old, and he hasn't done much since Tom Brady left him 4 seasons ago. The 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach only made the playoffs once after Brady left New England, and he seemed to have lost a step, and the game looked like it passed him by. Seeing Belichick head to Dallas would be a neat story, but it wouldn't be good for the organization, and it shouldn't happen. The Cowboys need a young, offensive-minded head coach like the rest of the NFL is looking for, and that would be better than hiring Belichick. The Cowboys should sign CeeDee Lamb before Dak Prescott. As the calendar flips pages from May to June, the year 2024 seems to be flying by. The Dallas Cowboys and the rest of the NFL are in the middle of preparing for the new season. Veterans are getting back into the swing of things, and rookies are getting acclimated to their new surroundings. Their 2024 draft class is in attendance and all accounted for, but the same can't be said for their veterans. There are 2 impactful players who so far have decided not to join the team in OTAs. I know, Darren Hambrick would say, what do voluntary mean, but a couple of superstars not showing up to be with the team is major. CeeDee Lamb has not yet arrived, and edge Micah Parsons showed up for one practice, only to decide he didn't want to show up for any more voluntary workouts. For a team that looked so discombobulated in an embarrassing 16-point loss at home to the 7th-seeded Green Bay Packers, you'd think all players would be eager to return and begin work to avenge that loss. Sometimes business gets in the way of things we all think players should do. And I know OTAs are voluntary, but HC Mike McCarthy could have fooled us with his comments about Parsons' absence. McCarthy used politically correct words, but the undertone was one of anger and frustration at his best defensive player deciding to stay away from the team after showing his face for one practice. While Parsons' absence isn't contract-related, stalled negotiations are what is keeping Lamb away, and Dak Prescott could use the same excuse, but the leader of the team has put on his bravest face. CeeDee Lamb, the 2023 season showed the world that CeeDee Lamb has fully arrived and is here to stay as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Lamb set Cowboys' single-season franchise records for receptions, 135, and yards, 1,749, on his way to his first-team All-Pro selection. The Cowboys could have extended Lamb last season after his 3rd consecutive season of improvement, and Lamb's 2022 season proved to be just a stepping stone to his ascension into a superstar. Dallas gambled and lost with his contract, and now they have to pony up what many predict to be over $30 million annually. By now, you know that Lamb and Vikings star WR Justin Jefferson don't share the same agent, but their agents work for the same agency. They are both waiting to see what contract the other gets, but both are at a stalemate. The problem is other teams are handing out deals to their wide receivers, driving up the market price with each signature. Miami's Jalen Waddle is the latest to sign, inking a 3 years, $84.75 million deal averaging over $28 million per season. At this rate, we can expect Lamb to receive anywhere from $32 million to $35 million annually. Where he falls in that range depends on how long the Cowboys take to extend him. When it comes to these negotiations, there are only 2 parties directly involved, the player and agent versus the team, but outside factors also come into play. Contract negotiations for players near the top of their position in regard to talent are always difficult due to other factors like other players getting paid. Here's a rundown of other wide receivers who have received new contracts that directly affect Lamb's negotiations. With every wide receiver contract signed, Cowboys Nation collectively groans. We all know Lamb's price will continue to climb until his name is on the dotted line. Despite the value of the quarterback position, the Cowboys should sign CeeDee Lamb before they extend their quarterback.